Bill Henshall here again. Bring you up to date on a current event that's just happened. Involves the Trump administration and Congress. And I'm going to read you an article here. Listen to this. It says Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina today said he will introduce legislation to end birthright citizenship after President Trump suggested he wanted to do so through an executive order. Finally, a president willing to take on this absurd policy of birthright citizenship. I've always supported comprehensive immigration reform and, at the same time, the elimination of birthright citizenship, Graham said in a string of tweets. He added he plans to introduce legislation along the same lines as the proposed executive order from Trump. Congress is out of session until November 13th, after the election. If Graham is going to propose legislation to amend the Constitution, his bill would need to win over not only two-thirds of the majorities in Congress, but also be ratified by three-quarters of the states. His announcement comes hours after Trump said in an interview released today that he would sign an executive order intended to end the practice of birthright citizenship. It was always told to me you needed a constitutional amendment. Guess what? You don't, Trump said during an interview with Axios. You can definitely do it with an act of Congress, but now they're saying I can do it just with an executive order, the president added, before stating incorrectly, we're the only country in the world where a person comes in and has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States, with all of those benefits. Most countries in the Western Hemisphere, including Mexico and Canada, have some form of birthright citizenship. The move would spark an uphill court battle and pave the way for a showdown at the Supreme Court over the 14th Amendment, which states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are United States citizens and of the state in which they reside. Democrats and progressive groups immediately panned Trump's comments as a distraction with a week to go until the midterm election. The president has increasingly leaned into hardline immigration rhetoric as he tries to fire up his base to vote next week. This is a blatantly unconstitutional attempt to fan the flames of anti-immigration hatred in the days ahead of the midterms. The 14th Amendment citizenship guarantee is clear. You can't erase the Constitution with an executive order, the American Civil Union said in a tweet. Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota added the voters shouldn't take the bait. He'll say anything before the election, she said. Don't take the bait. Focus on ending the hate. Hug a kid. Be nice to someone you don't know or agree with. And vote. Please vote. But Vice President Pence said we all cherish the 14th Amendment, but appeared to suggest the administration had an opening if Trump issues an executive order. The Supreme Court of the United States has never ruled on whether or not the language of the amendment, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, applies specifically to people who are in the country illegally, Pence said in a Politico event. Starting with the end first, which you don't normally do, about the court never having ruled on the amendment with people who are here in the country illegally, the situation, and those of you who have followed my work and have my documents know that's exactly what I'm saying, that state citizens have become undocumented enemy aliens. Now, if we're here illegally, then they could get rid of us with an executive order. Does that make any sense to any of you people out there, even you left-wing Democrats out here in California, that they could amend the Constitution by executive order? Well, believe it or not, it should. As they can do that, because that identifies the jurisdiction of the 14th War Amendment. It's federal, regional, martial law rule. As such, the president, as commander-in-chief, has total control over that jurisdiction, and that's why an executive order would win a Supreme Court challenge if based on the non-existent 14th War Amendment. Now, here you got the idiots there at the ACLU saying you can't amend the Constitution with an executive order, And yet that kind of BS has been going on for at least 85 years, if not a lot longer than that. That's what's gotten us into all the damn trouble with the executive orders of FDR, for example, paving the way to do away with the gold and silver standard and go to fiat paper currency, which is, by the way, federal, regional, martial law rule. The same jurisdiction as the citizenship they're talking about doing away with. It makes perfect sense when you understand the context. It does. Now, I don't know how much the people behind Trump in the White House know about the issues I advocate. I assume some of them know something about it. But my instincts and experiences over the course of decades tell me they really don't know the nature of what it is they're doing. This is Pandora's box here. Because if they're going to say they can do away with citizenship, I don't see any way you can separate the 14th Amendment citizenship from those born or naturalized in the United States. And by the way, so you know what that means. That means that you're born or naturalized in, for all intents and purposes, the District of Columbia, not a state. And the amendment goes on to say that you're a resident in a state. I'm not one of those, and you probably aren't either. I'm a state citizen domiciled in a state judicial district. That's one hell of a different status. And once we get that recognized in courts, and as you're going to see with what Trump is doing, that may happen quickly now. Now they can't beat us because we have rights, and we have a limited government, and they can't trample on those rights, especially without a voluntary, knowing, and intelligent waiver of rights on our part, and they don't have one. I'm telling you, it's just as clear as can be. In another video that's going to follow here, I'll be talking about statements by Justice Joseph Story of the Supreme Court, who was arguably the most recognizable constitutional expert of his day, and this at a time when the nation was very young, and he was well aware of what the original intent of the Constitution was. You put these two things together, we're in business here. They can't beat us. They haven't been able to beat me anyway, and with these two things added, it may go quickly. They just can't do any of this. So that said, this whole thing with citizenship, we'll see how it plays out, whether Trump actually issues the order, which hasn't issued to date. I'll be following this one closely and see what effect they think it has. It'll be a really interesting subject. Now, for more information, please check out the link below of my video, The 14th Amendment Explained, and please remember to like and subscribe to my videos.